should. Hate to say it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I would too.
Yeah, I know all the data. It's the safest form of travel. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
Right. And then it's really not.
It's really not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, airplane mode.
Yeah, I just did that.
I still get my alarms through, so I'm going to turn it off. Yeah, because,
I wouldn't know how to do that.
Got all sorts of
what do you mean?
Wouldn't know how to set my phone up to be able to do that.
some other work, but
Because I lose
stuff
it so
from
many
here
times,
and
I need an alarm to
mostly
find
just
where. Oh, it's
for
over
taking
here.
notes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So why are you here? I had
Hi,
nothing.
James.
Really?
Solar,
How are you?
He says they just needed people to look good.
5 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
So you're like an extra.
I'm an extra, yeah. I'm for the squirrels. That's what they told me my line should be.
I told you to make that a point.
I will. That's, win or lose, I've got a great line.
Yeah.
I'm not here for the Bears. I don't
There's enough.
messed up my kitchen.
I know. I know.
It depends on your lot, your
Yeah, of
trees
course.
and stuff like that. I have to,
Hopefully this thing will.
and I balance the whole year.
Testing.
So we're balanced.
That's the.
We have solar. Or other.
You guys like to be in the back with me if you can. That's pretty good.
It's really good. We paid off. We bought panels. We paid our panels off in 3 years.
Okay.
With the savings.
Cool.
And so we've had 5 years now of absolute just free
Energy.
electricity.
You have air conditioning. That's,
Yeah.
That's a factor. How many panels do you?
So we lived up here the entire.
I only come up once a week or weekends.
I want to say we did 8, but maybe not.
Some years I come up a lot. Some years I would hardly come up.
There's
Chatsworth, San Fernando Valley. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
There's
No
pretty
traffic.
so.
Do you have a battery or not?
No, really wasn't. It really wasn't an option when we got it. But I mean, I don't know. Great enough.
Right, right.
But it's an expense for something you rarely would get out of the way.
Yeah, that's right. I can do
And
that.
I looked into
Everybody else take it.
and then on the closing, and I saw so many QA people for the battery companies. And so they haven't figured out the battery technology to the level that I want.
No, battery technology is always.
You can give it a closing and leave.
And
Right, drop the mic.
Yeah, drop.
you know, automobile, electrical cars, the limitations.
Okay.
I just want
Phones, it's believable. This is the amount. They're
If it's using that device when you zoom up, it'll focus on you. Zoom up on you.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
I work with Motorola, so okay.
There you go.
So it was all how much battery can I make?
Low.
I know.
You have to really lean into it.
Had a
They're all out. They're all live.
Okay.
it was
I don't know.
and basically,
I don't know why.
when he'd worked for Bell Labs,
10 years.
Okay.
taking this position, and he'd said that the limiting factor always and patterns.
Love it.
He goes, in his mind, he goes, I think there's always gonna be a limit. We're not.
Sanity. Working away.
Redox reaction.
I see the worst of it.
I mean, we're not turning up a lot of new chemicals, solar panels. There's not a lot of it.
But nanotechnology makes it.
We're just drilling. We're a lot less.
I really live in LA. I just come here once a week.
Oh, it's a reset. And
No,
Microcircuit.
So, I mean, different years.
it's always an opportunity. It depends what's the question.
oh, wow.
8 voltage is really down.
I imagine over all those years, you probably lived here for a solid 10 or 11 at least.
Basically, it's nice talking to you.
Enough. It changed a lot.
How long you been
All the fancy homes. I don't know if it helped or not.
My wife and I bought our own place,
Certainly,
but my family's bought it.
I'm reading the letter. I'm like, my name's not mentioned.
not having a hardware store.
2023 is not mentioned.
I really,
Oh my
it is
God.
the only thing we lost up here. It's actually
So
real
we've always
my
wanted.
lifestyle.
Yeah, but you see, the hardware stores don't have the same stuff anymore either. A lot of stuff you have to order it online anyhow. or, you know,
That's, I think back when the hardware store was still here, you could pretty much get everything you needed. He carried a pretty good selection. He knew what people,
That's a
kind of
choice
projects
today.
people would do on the mountain and what they essentially
Doesn't get like,
But
made sure he could.
it's a lot more work than you
a
realize.
lot of things were out.
give you some advice.
Say it.
So I would say that
Just say it.
I've anticipated that.
Things are in
Not
motion.
as nice.
I mean,
I would say that
I lived in Alaska for about half,
Yes, I've noticed
the cost transfers.
and
Oh, yes.
I've noticed a higher level of organization over like the past 2.
rode my bike on the Iditarod Trail and stuff.
Really?
This is an okay
Like,
trail.
well, this is pretty damn cool. But it was during some okay.
Outside of that,
Okay.
a lot of things they start and stop.
So I call this Alaska light. Not as, severe, but the people are nice, which makes a difference.
Yeah,
You know,
What they really need is,
it's always been.
I wouldn't say a 5-year plan. Like if you really
Stayed over today?
Millions.
That's always been my experience.
Not very good.
what are the things that
Still kind of
Cousins and I were
hot
terrorizing
mess.
in our teens. Oh, yeah, we were.
On the market.
I don't, there's things I'm not even allowed to still talk about.
you evolved from that.
Oh, yeah.
for a 10-year, it takes you 2-3 years just to agree on the plan.
You think I did that in middle school?
So if you figure it takes 2 years.
I have enough time to mess
How was it?
If you start now, new board,
First time I ran, I didn't.
really, too wise.
Oh my God.
Worried about a budget a year.
It's to help
Already a
me.
year.
But I found the
Because
Wow.
3 years.
Yeah, I mean,
not so much, not during season. Summers are always
we're
fun.
gonna mess this
I
up.
couldn't do that.
Never.
The best.
That was not.
Oh.
Where words never spoken.
Also, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So are rates coming down too then?
No, not yet.
Kind of like what I always told people who seek promotions or things.
I guess I should.
You gotta put your name on it and get your head so people know you're interested.
You do the drive every day?
Not every day. Usually, I work 410s.
Yeah, they
Monday through Thursday. Stay
Oh my
in the city,
God, especially now.
Wednesday nights.
You mean the money that's in it? Oh, that's ruining my. I think because then they have too much pressure on that performance aspect.
Yeah, certainly at the deep.
Mondays are usually my busiest day because a lot of activity goes on.
What was your sports?
Track and field.
I end up having to stay
Oh
late.
my God.
I stay late, there's no point in driving home. I'm just doing it to sleep in this bed.
Although I only did track and field.
Were you a
A lot of my jobs, I would work 12 hours.
You got the long legs.
I just figure I come in early on Monday, work until I
So, yeah,
dead.
it helped.
Because
It's all inherited.
once a week I can post unless there's
You get a feel for the rhythm
Must be serious about this. I'm so-
and whether to keep.
So email came along,
There's always this thing.
he owes a lot of stuff early on Sunday.
It is what it is.
It really
That was
started early and finished late.
The last time I ran for anything,
I can front load some of that with electronic communications.
treasurer of the National Honor Society.
else, but it
So that was back in. I won't even tell you.
doesn't alleviate that much.
And we tied. And so
It's almost not considered to keep the pressure on something.
I voted for you, and I said, I voted for you.
I had one.
Being my preferred.
There you go.
So there was.
Win-win. I don't know
That's
about
a
that.
So I said, I'll need some help. You do?
Unless I pretend.
Recording in progress.
I know they make a big deal.
Hello?
Times.
Yeah, they are.
It's a pain in the ass.
A lot of paperwork with that.
Tons, especially in my position, commanding officer. So,
Yeah, I know that. I don't think there's any worried about Mike.
You're a manager.
yeah, but I still end up in the field a lot.
Worried that we would have more people up here, up there, but that's obviously.
I was a programmer and a scientist, so it was low stress most of the time.
Friday night, Yeah, definitely.
Okie doke.
Well, that's true. So I'm sure it's bringing up a lot more.
Because we didn't have this many. So you're good at politics.
What are we doing?
Well, I don't know if I'm good at politics. I'm good at navigating bureaucracy.
Really close.
That's for
Maybe. Looks
Get
like we
another
got some.
promotion? Or is this
I
haven't
didn't
decided
bring any water. I'm gonna take a break to eat.
said that
need any water?
nonsense.
I'm gonna have to.
It's more nonsense and less,
At least, you know.
It's a sliding scale. I'm not.
Yes.
It slides differently depending upon the day that you ask me.
It is.
One cup of tea.
Oh, I don't think I do well with
No, I don't do well with caffeine.
when I drink, I love tasting. So it's
you got time for this thing, or
when I make
you have time to record stuff? or-
I can make my schedule. When I have to be at work, I have to be at work. And times I don't have to be at work, that's my schedule. I can work from home. Move my days around. I have a lot of flexibility. I have a lot of responsibility. Finally, at a point where I can do something like this. I'm basically the one that gets to say whether I do it.
Let's do it.
Full trust me?
now they know
Okay, let's do this.
they mixed in with that.
It's 6 o'clock. Hello? Hello, everybody. Oh,
One or that one.
Gail's adjusting my microphone. Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Are we, ooh. Okay. All right, here we go. Good evening. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Madison Bodorf. I'm the corporate secretary. I'm a board director. I wish to welcome you to the Meet the Candidates Forum. We hope that over the course of the Meet the Candidates Forum, you will learn more about the candidates and what they hope to do for the association and its membership. Due to this format, this event may run for a couple of hours. We ask that the audience, when entering or leaving the building, do so in a manner that does not disturb the remaining members of the audience. Negative or derogatory comments to the candidates by any of the participants will not be tolerated. This forum is being recorded to allow members who could not attend to view the forum at a later date. Members will observe rules of decorum. Members will refrain from being argumentative and making derogatory or personal remarks or gestures. Verbal interaction between the audience and the candidates during the forum will not be permitted. Members will turn off or silence all cell phones or communication devices while attending the forum. Please remain quiet throughout the forum. No clapping, cheering, or calling out, so we can answer as many of your questions as possible. I like to think of this as this is not a rally, so we're not supporting our candidates. We are getting information. Okay, you are encouraged to submit questions for the candidates on the provided index cards. Raise your hand if you'd like another index card or to have your question collected. One question per card. Please state your question in 1 or 2 sentences. The election committee will review the questions for legibility, clarity, or applicability. They will remove any duplicate, negative, derogatory, or personal questions. Questions should be community related. I will read as many questions as time allows. I will start by explaining some procedures for the forum. Instructions for the candidates. And some of this is a little repetitive. Just bear with me. 1, you will have 2 minutes for your opening statement. You will have 1 minute for your closing statement and 1 minute to answer each question. 2, opening and closing statements will be done in the order of the ballot. 3, the timekeeper is sitting in the first row, right over there. James, wave your hand. There he goes. When there is half a minute left on your opening statement, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 30 seconds remaining, indicating that you have 30 seconds to finish your opening statement. At 15 seconds, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 15 seconds remaining, indicating that you have 15 seconds to finish your opening statement. Please wrap up when you see the 15 seconds remaining card. If you continue speaking after the 15 seconds remaining card, I will say thank you and move on to the next speaker. Number 4, this is the repetitive part. When there are 15 seconds left on your questions and closing statement, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 15 seconds remaining, indicating that you have 15 seconds to finish your question or closing statement. Please wrap up when you see the 15 seconds remaining card. If you continue speaking after the 15 seconds remaining card, I will say thank you and move on to the next speaker. 5, if a question is directed to a specific candidate, it must be issue focused. The candidate will have a set amount of time to respond. All other candidates may have an opportunity to respond if they desire. I'd like to close this forum by thanking all candidates for their participation. I would also like to thank the election committee for their participation. To the voters, please remember to vote. Thank you and have a nice evening. That kind of sounds like the end, but it's just the beginning. So here we go. Okay, now we're going to start with opening statements. We will begin with, I guess, Elizabeth Gilbert.
Ready?
Yes.
Thank you for that introduction. My wife and I fell in love with Pine Mountain Club, and we decided to move here in 2015. I am a huge advocate of volunteerism, and I think volunteerism ends up being the backbone of this community and this association. 2 years ago, I raised my hand and I volunteered for the Governing Documents Committee, which is proof that I am a glutton for punishment. Serving at the chair of this committee last year, dedicated volunteers, having served 3 different board chairs, I was reminded of something important. Good governance matters. And it works best when we respect each other, when we use sound judgment, and we use teamwork. I experienced that our committee, through collaboration, was stronger, the sum of it. Stronger, oh my gosh, sorry. Collaborates well will always outperform the sum of its parts. These are the values I've carried my whole life. I like to listen more than I speak. I like to understand people, not in the action of judging them, but more along the lines of understanding what they have to say so I can use that in decision making. Once a decision is made, I stand behind that decision, even if I argued against it, because frequently reality proves that my first draft wasn't that good, and I need a healthy dose of humility. Decisions in the past are lessons that we have to learn from, but thank you. Lessons we have to learn for, but they shouldn't guide us. We need to look at the future. We have a responsibility not to repeat those mistakes, but the boards has to look to the future already. My gosh. Our assessments are a shared investment, and we need to make sure that we use those investments in the wisest way possible. And that is the way we make a strong community. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you, and I hope that I will end my talk.
Hello. Okay. Thank you. Bill Lewis.
Good evening, and thank you for being here, both in person and watching online. My name is Bill Lewis, and I'd like to earn your vote to return to the Board of Directors. I served on the board for 6 years and served on committees that included Budget and Finance, Planning, Governing Documents, and Greens and Grounds. Previously, I served as a police officer and a sergeant for over 27 years in Oxnard, California, with 13 of those years dedicated to the K-9 unit as a K-9 handler and over 25 years on the SWAT team. After my retirement, I spent over 16 years running my own business that provided training and consulting services to law enforcement agencies and the military across the United States and in Brazil. I believe I have the necessary knowledge and experience to help serve the association and its members. In my candidate statement, I outlined 4 concerns that should be prioritized and continue to be prioritized by our current board. Briefly, they are fire mitigation. We live in a high-risk fire zone, and we need to continue our ongoing efforts to be safe in our homes and within our community. Emergency preparedness. The EP committee has really stepped up the last few years to help us prepare for natural disasters and coordinate efforts to respond appropriately to those potential emergencies should they occur. Maintaining assessments at a reasonable level. We will experience a decrease in our assessment this coming year, and we can hopefully continue the trend to maintain or decrease in the search if necessary. Clubhouse construction. I think recent surveys from the members clearly indicate a desire to improve the clubhouse complex that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. I believe we must identify what needs major repairs and replacements and prioritize the maintenance of this building with the funds currently available to us without acquiring a loan. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. James, can you please let me know how to pronounce your last name?
Bulolach.
Bulolach. Thank you.
I've had my place here for 33 years. I've never gone to a board meeting, never been on any of the committees. I see here a lot of unnecessary fighting. I don't think I can solve it, but I come in here to try to help keep the peace. I'm here for the squirrels, as suggested. It seemed more friendly 30 years ago, but that maybe I'm just old and everything seemed more friendly 30 years ago. My big complaint is for a small place, there is a lot of paperwork and a lot of fighting. I'm done.
Thank you. Just a reminder to everybody to lean into your mic too, please. All right, and James Dixon?
Yeah, I can't hear.
Whoa.
Because I didn't say anything yet.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and for those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name's Jim Dixon. I've lived here for 13 years. I was drawn to this community due to the environment and the sense of community that it has, all the amenities, and I mean, just look around. This place is gorgeous. I want to do everything I can to keep it gorgeous and to make it continue to be a fun and pleasant place to live with a strong sense of community. I'm new to putting my hat into the board and for committees and a lot of involvement up here because I've had some significant responsibilities in my professional life outside of where I live. But I'm not new to governance. I have 24 years of law enforcement that I can bring to the table here. I'm currently the commanding officer of a homicide unit in Los Angeles for LAPD. Prior to that, I worked for the FBI as a task force officer, working white-collar crime and the Joint Terrorism Task Force. Traveled all over the country, all over the world. I've seen a lot. I've seen how other communities are managed. I've gotten to see how other communities are run at times, given some of my casework. I love this place. I've hiked just about every trail in these mountains with my dogs. And I want to make sure that it maintains the character that drew me here in the first place. And I thank you for your time and your support.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, we have Thomas Seglia. Yeah?
Hi, yes, hi everybody. I'm getting about 3/4 of everybody's words that I'm hearing, but it's all good. I'm just gonna go with it. I've been up here for about 4 years. I've been building the house across the street. Literally, I can see you guys from where I'm at right now. I got the flu, so it kind of really hurts me to not be there right now. But I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity. I'm not going to bore you with my life whatnots, but I'm in the entertainment business. I've been in it for 40 years. I'm good at what I do. I've owned my own businesses. I've owned a restaurant. I've had plenty of horses in my backyard before, so I completely understand. I've learned how to play golf here. I just love it. I love the people that are there. I love the energy that's here. I've never been somewhere where I've just been so overwhelmed with the breathtaking atmosphere that's here. I want to keep the community affordable. I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form. I know it's tough being out here in the middle of nowhere. I've had to kind of get used to being in the middle of nowhere. I came from a little area called Green Valley, so I kind of understand that there's really no stores and whatnot that we have to shop at, which is fine. I just want you to know that I'm here and I'm willing to hold myself accountable for anything that comes my way. And I appreciate your guys' time, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I'm done.
Thank you. All right, and Paul Mobley.
Good evening, everybody. I want to just say real quick, I have been here since 2018. When I returned to California, I was born in Arcadia, moved all over the country. It's hard to believe this is my third time here in California, but the longest place I've ever lived in my life. I want to share what I felt when draw me here. And the first question I ask of anybody when I meet them is, what brought you to Pine Mountain Club in this beautiful area? And so those people that don't know me, I would like you to share with me what brought you here. When I looked on the map and I was working in Newberry Park, I said, what is the closest place that I can go to and see the Milky Way? We have great stars up here. We have great animals. And I'll sit in my yard and garden listening to the birds, listening to the animals, and just enjoy the peace that we have. We also have great musicians, great golf, great swimming. And I want to share with you what I experienced this Tuesday with this Celtic group. We had people in their 90s playing music. We had a 13-month-old just enjoying it. That is priceless. We need to ensure that our community is affordable, these precious moments continue, and that the people are the most important thing on this mountain. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mark Blesson.
Well, good evening. I appreciate you all being here. I know you're taking time out of your day, but this place is important to all of us. I recently retired from a 40-year career in education where I had a lot of different roles. I was a classroom lecturer. I was a head collegiate track coach for 35 of those years. And hopefully I can bring some of those skills that I learned there to help out this community. I've never had time to serve or do community service because I was so busy in my career. But now that I have time, I would like to devote some of my hours of free time to community service, and I can't think of a better community to serve than Pine Mountain Club. My wife and I started looking for our own place up here 8 years ago, and finally, after searching and searching, bought our own place 2 years ago, and we've been there since. Hopefully, it will be our primary residence here fairly soon. But my family built a cabin up here in 1974, and that's when I first learned to love Pine Mountain Club. As a teenager, I was running around here doing all sorts of crazy stuff with local friends and my cousins that came up here. And it kind of inspired me to pursue the things that I pursued. I graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where I studied forestry and wildlife management. And then returned several years later and got a further degree in kinesiology, and then went to grad school, and that started my educational career. All these things that I've done, coaching, teaching, the one thing that has struck me as important in all those is a personal connection to people and building teams. And I believe this association should be a team, all of us together. And hopefully I can bring some of that to this group.
Thank you. All right, Tony Harmon.
Tony Harmon here. My wife Lori and I moved here 11 years ago from Paso Robles. And we love this community. We're very involved in this community. I was on the board in 2019. Some of my work history, I started off at 14 years old as a concert guitarist. Had a career doing that. Eventually ended up working for the city of Lompoc and still playing guitar at the same time. But, you know, musicians at some point in time have to get a real job. So I got a real job at the city of Lompoc. I worked for the sanitation department, the city of Lompoc. The recycling was where they put me. I transferred to the street department, so I have experience with streets as well. During that time, I was the chief steward for the Teamsters Union for our employees for about 4 years of that time. So I learned a lot about employee law, employee regulations, and how to handle disputes. I really want to focus on, if I'm reelected to the board again, I want to focus on keeping our assessments low, And also, I want to focus on keeping our property values high. Those two things are important to me. Also, back in 2019, we really started this fire mitigation stuff, and I really want to continue with that. I think we can do more. So those are the things that are important. Aging in place is also important to me. I'd like to take a look at maybe revamping that. So we'll see what the other questions are. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Debbie Bailey.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I take my timing serious. Thank you, Mark, for that. I'm Debbie Bailey, and I've been part of this community for over 17 years. I chose PMC for its natural beauty, the forest, the outdoors, and the lifestyle we share. I'm running to be a voice for the members because I believe in standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Members deserve a balanced, responsible leadership that puts community first. Tonight, I want to earn not only your vote, but your trust. Most of you know my husband, Mark, and the work he's done in our community. Seeing that level of commitment up close is what inspired me to step forward with my own perspective, but a shared dedication to serving Pine Mountain. As a high school teacher, I work one-on-one with seniors that need support to graduate, so I help them cross the finish line. I'm also a real estate agent, loan originator, notary public, and I have a bachelor's degree in business, and I have my MBA. In my early years, I worked for the BLM and the Forest Service in Helitack, and also on an engine crew, and then later in fire prevention. I have served as president of the Commercial Center, having organized many lilac festivals and Wine in the Pines events. I've also been serving on governing docs and served on the Budget and Finance Committee. I'm running for a simple reason, to help keep PMC affordable, sustainable, and well-managed. That means making data-driven decisions, ensuring transparency, using funds responsibly, and making sure members have a voice and a vote. At the end of the day, this is about your responsible stewardship, because this is our community and we're spending your money. Is that the timer? Yeah. It's very hard for me to see that far.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Question number 1. It just occurred to me that I have to be able to read your handwriting. That's so scary. I can do it. Ooh, it's for Paul Mobley. Here we go. You're all about safety, Paul. What do you plan to accomplish being on the board?
Madison, thank you. As
Sure
a,
thing.
as a matter of fact, you shared something with me tonight. I had been repeatedly asking our board members, Jim, he's been getting a lot of emails from me about safety and what we can do. My background is semiconductors, and we work with some of the most significant safety challenges in the industry. But what we faced was people were getting injured by not holding the handrails walking downstairs. So what I've heard from Madison tonight is that we're going to get some signs, seasonal signs, to address safety, but we also have to look at each other. When people are driving faster than the speed limit, they need to slow down. Everyone has that responsibility. Motorcyclists, in my opinion, are very aware of the safety around them. They have to drive like they're invisible. I ride a bike on this mountain, and I know there's some dangerous curves. But I work in my front yard,
Okay.
and we need to slow down
Thank you, Paul.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Would any other candidates like to answer this question? Now or never? We got one, just one or two? Debbie, two? Okay, Debbie and Elizabeth? Okay, it's just the two of you. Okay.
Just a short comment on safety and the signage.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Elizabeth has to go first. I guess it goes in order. Yeah? Okay.
I thought it was the first one. Raise a hand.
I don't know.
Okay, I take it back.
Gail knows. I don't know. Okay, sorry.
Click the buzzer.
So I worked for DuPont for 10 years as a safety manager in a chemical plants. And I also know how important safety is, but I also know it's a very broad-based issue, that you just can't focus on one thing. I observed a staff member the other day cleaning up something in the street, and he was just standing in the street without like a safety cone. And I thought to myself, I should tell James about this, because I think safety is all of our responsibility, especially when we live in an environment when it has so much ice and so many things that can actually hurt us. So that's my answer.
Thank you. All right, Debbie.
Okay, just wanted to add to Paul's comment about signs and safety. I know over the years, many of our signs have faded away, and I know we've had stop signs that you can't even tell say stop. And also we have, I believe, on the way to the transfer site, the speed limit sign you can barely read, so that would be important, and something that we should do is make sure our signage is actually visible as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and this one will start with Gail, right? Yes, okay. We didn't even have a first general. God. Okay. Oh, but this one's for Debbie Bailey. Curveballs. Okay. Where is it? All right. You served as president of the CPOA. You
That is a true statement.
You resigned early and didn't fulfill your duties, and as a result, please tell everyone the reason.
The reason that I resigned,
Yes.
so I'm still a high school teacher. I work full-time. I realized being president of the commercial center was almost turning into a one-man job. So in addition to being a high school teacher in Bakersfield and commuting and having many other duties at that point in time, I did resign, but I resigned making sure that everything was put in place. And I also helped for probably about 3 to 4 months after I resigned to make sure that nothing would be left behind.
Thank you. I'm assuming no one else can answer that one. Okay. All right. We can do this, Elizabeth.
All right.
Are you a full-time resident of PMC? If not, how much time do you spend as part of the community?
That's a nice, simple question.
Yeah.
I am a full-time resident of PMC.
Thank you. Bill Lewis.
I am a full-time resident of PMC and have been since 2014.
All right.
I'm a part-time resident, have been for 33 years.
All right. Jim.
Full-time resident, 13 years.
Woohoo.
Full-time resident.
I think we skipped Tom.
Tom.
I'm here. I'm a full-time resident. I don't have a choice. I love it here, and I'm just in the process of building, so I'm here.
Great.
Got to keep an eye on my guys.
Okay. Paul.
I've been a full-time resident since 2022.
Great. All right. Mark.
Currently, part-time, about 50% of the time. I'm here 2 to 3 weeks, then gone 2 to 3 weeks. But the goal right now is to make this our primary residence once I can convince my wife to actually retire, which is coming soon. So we're not going to be tied down to any particular place but here. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Tony Harmon.
Full-time for 11 years.
Okay. And Debbie Bailey.
I first purchased in 2009, and this was a second home for me. But I enjoyed the mountains, the beauty, and the more I spent time here, the more I wanted to be here. But because I do work in Bakersfield as a full-time teacher Monday through Friday, I am in Bakersfield then. However, the weekend's here, and I'm retiring on June 20th. So I will be here as much as I'm needed.
Nice. All right, thank you. It's typed. All right, Bill Lewis, what immediate policy change do you think the community needs, and how would you initiate it? And how would you ensure fairness and impartiality in your policy change?
In the immediate future here, I don't see any current policy changes that are needed. I think the ones in place are already out there. But to ensure, and I would say compliance, it's just, and I really believe that the current board has done an excellent job of keeping the members informed of these changes that are occurring. And I think we should continue to do so. The communications committee is always essential in sharing that information. I really appreciate the board recaps, and I think that's how you ensure that your members have the opportunity to know what's going on, although sometimes they don't always read that information. But I think you give your best to put out the policies.
Thank you. James Bolo-Latch?
No immediate changes.
Okay, thank you. Jim Dixon?
So I don't have the entire book memorized, but I would say that if we were to implement a policy change that would be beneficial, I think one of the most important things up here is fire mitigation. And we're all held to a standard to do lot clearance every June, and we're inspected. I think we should codify the fact that our open and shared green spaces should be subject to the exact same inspection, and that should be something that's actually put into our documents.
All right, thank you. Tom Seglia?
Yeah, I'd like to keep everything the same and like to add to what Jim said. That sounds good, Jim. Just basically keep everything the same and make sure that everybody's held accountable that's on the board.
Okay, thank you. Paul Mobley?
There's one thing I'd like to see more insight in terms of member usage of our amenities. We have a pool that doesn't get used for a significant part of the winter. When I asked Jennifer Hemmett if we had the card key history, there was none. It was not kept. And so I think the managers of each department should have some accountability for their usage, how they're managing, and what's the frequency of members' usage. So that's one thing I would like to see. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mark Blethyn?
I'm not particularly aware of any policy that I think should be changed at this point, but I think what's more important is how we approach any potential policy changes that are proposed by our membership and by our board, and how we bring critical thinking and fact and logic to what we do and what we change. I love the way this place is. I'd love to have it be exactly like it was in 1974, but things change, and things are going to want to change based on what our needs are. I think we just need to make sure we're approaching that in a really rational and reasonable way.
Thank you. Tony Harmon?
Yeah, I know of no specific policy at this time, but I would like to look at our policies if I get reelected to the board and make maybe some changes at that time.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey?
Okay, I worked really hard trying to memorize everything on the CCNRs, our business policies, articles of incorporation, but I didn't memorize everything. However, I do know that there are some important bylaws coming up for ratification that I think are important, including borrowing limits and what we can and cannot do with that and what we can spend. And I also recall that the Bear Committee is now going to be a standing committee if it goes through. So there are some things that are in the works that I do support. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, I'm so sorry. How dare I? Elizabeth, please.
So let's be clear that the policies aren't normally available to members, and they are used as guidance to the general manager from the board So when you review the policies, you have to think about them in that position. In terms of recent changes, the approval of 8.06 at the last board meeting means that several policies are now redundant and they'll have to be updated. But in general, the policies are quite old and the entire architecture of it needs to be looked at. And potentially, I would hope at some point made a little more public so people understand them.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Here we go. James Below Latch. What is the reserve fund? How is it funded? And what can it legally be spent on?
I have no idea what legally to be spent on. It's a fund that always seems to be not having enough. I think it's about half what it should be if you're going to replace everything.
Okie dokie. Thank you. Jim Dixon.
So our reserve fund, the use of it is stipulated by Davis-Sterling restrictions based upon California Civil Code. So the reserve fund is not supposed to be used for anything that is not being spent to maintain existing items or infrastructure. So our assessments are meant for daily operating costs, the normal expenditures that we encounter on a regular recurring basis. The reserve funds are not to be used for those type of expenditures or capital expenditures.
Okay, thank you. Wait, Tom Seglia.
Honest, I couldn't agree more with what Jim said. The reserve fund should be just used for certain things that are needed on the outside besides the regular assessments.
Okay, thank you. And Paul Mobley.
The reserves funds, for example, when we had a street sweeper, should be used to replace original equipment. And when you exceed that replacement value, it becomes a special assessment that's needed. So capital equipment that degrades, cars, vehicles, things that become a safety hazard, you may want to spend some money on those, but that's not operating expenses. So we have to have a clear delineation why we're spending money on something, and the board has a responsibility to understand that and not spend money on a street sweeper for $400,000.
Thank you. Mark Blethen.
I guess the simplest way to sort of characterize it is every year from our assessments, we set aside money into the reserve fund to pay for things that we know are going to be expenses down the road, maintenance of assets, replacement of assets that we know will wear out over time, we know will have to be fixed or maintained at some point. We set that money aside knowing that it's actually technically earmarked for an ongoing expense that we have already identified, and it's really not supposed to be used for anything else.
All right, thank you. Tony Harmon.
So our buildings and our assets have a useful life, and we count upon a reserve fund to be able to maintain them.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey.
Yes, and I think I heard that somebody had said reserve fund should be spent on certain things. I would correct that to say reserve funds must only be spent on repair and maintenance items, not for anything outside above that, including an upgrade. That might be a special assessment, or if we have a special fund. But reserve funds are meant for repairing and maintaining our facilities and everything that's in the reserve study.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert.
So our reserve funds are the way we take care of our assets, and we plan our reserve fund around the obsolescence of certain assets. And the funding is determined by a consultant that we hire that looks over all of our assets that is provided probably by the general manager, and then they decide what is the replacement time, when it should be replaced, where is it in that life cycle. We're supposed to replace these items within the scope of the money we set aside, but sometimes we have to add to that. Anyway, the end point is once we spend the money, then through our assessments, We prorate the value of that thing, and then we slowly pay it back over time. And those reserves, again, are for just taking care of our assets.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
The reserve fund is like a savings account that we use to repair, replace, and restore items that we have identified over the years by the board of directors. For example, many years ago, the clubhouse and the pool were not included in the reserve study. And so they were just left on their own to be paid out of the operating funds. That was changed. And it's changed even more in recent years. But the money is used for items that are identified within the study, and legally, that is the limit that you're faced to pay those expenses.
All right, thank you. Next question. Oh, this is for Debbie Bailey. If information about board actions or amenities is posted on an unofficial page and later turns out to be inaccurate, what responsibility do you believe the administrator has to correct it?
I'm sure you're talking about the Facebook page that Mark Bailey administers. So what responsibility does he have to correct every information that's put out there? I think he does a great job reviewing it as far as people commenting and believing what they say or what they put in there. That's up to the people that participate. So I guess in regards to him monitoring every comment, I don't think he has time to do that, and I think it's fine that people put their own opinions on there. I don't monitor that page, so I guess if you want more details, Mark's here, and you're welcome to ask him yourself.
Okay, and who would like to answer or also provide an answer to that question? One, Elizabeth Gilbert. Okay, go for it.
So I would say if you do have a website and you're responsible for it and you see inaccurate data that is leading our members to believe something and is true, you have a responsibility to correct it or make a comment on it. Because if you have that page and you're reaching out to a lot of people, it's important that they get good information. And we have enough problems with information as it goes. So I think that whoever administers a site like that should be responsible for that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we'll withhold clapping, please. Thank you. Next question. All right. For Tony Harmon, on your 2026 candidate statement, you omitted stating that your wife is the Equestrian Center manager. Do you feel this is a conflict of interest?
I didn't omit anything. I simply put my statement together. It's not a conflict. As far as recusing myself from voting on any matters involving the Equine Center, of course I would go by the Davis-Sterling rules on that.
Thank you. Any other comments from the other candidates? Paul Mobley.
Tony, I would ask that you consider your candidacy a question of the Equine Center when you've come up and vocally proposed some changes, and ask yourself, as a board member, could you honestly recuse yourself each and every time something came?
Okay, I guess we're not allowing that comment.
We did.
Oh, okay, so we're not.
I'll just finish this. Since we did allow the question, I will just say this. In the past, when I was on the board, I did recuse myself from matters that would benefit me more than any other member, as the Davis-Sterling Act states.
Okay, so the issue is that we're not wanting the candidates to speak speak to each other. So it's answering the questions and speaking to the members, but it's not having candidates speaking to each other. That's what we're being mindful of. Okay. Okay. And we're moving right along. And we're back to actually Debbie Bailey.
How did I know that was
I
coming?
don't know. Okay. What will you do to protect all our amenities?
That's kind of an open-ended question as far as protect. I'm assuming the person meant how to keep all the amenities sustainable. As far as golf course, equestrian center, the amenities that we have, I would actually like to go and investigate, if you will, and see how the operations are running in the golf course, equestrian, whatever the amenity might be. Look at the operational model to see what we can do to make it better. What can we do to make it more efficient? If we have to cut expenses, are there ways that we can increase revenues? What can we do to keep everything? I believe that we love everything that we have, and I do, and I would do whatever we can to keep everything, but also being mindful of our assessments and remembering that the money is your money as a member.
All right, thank you. Any other candidates want to answer this question? All right, we have Tony Harmon, Mark Blethen, and Elizabeth Gilbert. And do we go in order?
And Tom,
Okay. So Elizabeth Gilbert goes first.
I'm here too.
Oh, and Tom too. So hold on. Elizabeth,
Thank you.
Tom, and then Mark, and then Tony. Okay, here we go.
All right. So I would ask the idea of what is an amenity to us. Are we defining amenities to things like the equestrian center, or would we define amenities as the care of our streets? And so the idea of amenities in itself is a little bit tricky. The second thing is on funding of amenities, we have a responsibility to maintain this funding. It was recently, a professional opinion by our attorney said we had to maintain them at their current status. So the best thing we can do is find a way to work with our amenities and make sure that we're giving them the best possible quality at the right budget.
Okay, thank you. Please refrain from clapping. Now we're on to Tom Seglia.
Hi there. I'd like to protect our amenities by planning ahead and taking care of what we have. That means using reserve funds for the right way for repairs and replacements, staying on top of the maintenance, and making smart financial decisions so we don't fall behind. I'd also focus on safety, including fire mitigation, and make sure the community understands what's being done so that everything is protected long term.
All right, thank you. Okay, on
Thank you.
to Mark Blethen.
Yeah, I know we keep calling these things amenities, but these are facilities that are part of our infrastructure here as a club, and it's our responsibility as stewards of this community to make sure that we maintain and keep those things at the highest possible level that we can. If that means we need to get creative in how we fund things and how we handle our finances, then that's what we need to do. I've taken use of almost every single amenity here over the last 52 years that I've been here. I've used to rent horses out of, they didn't call it the equestrian center, it was called the stables back then. And we used to rent horses out of there and ride them around the trails. I've played golf here, I don't know how many times, all the trails, everything. And that's what makes this place great. And these are not amenities, they're part of our infrastructure, and we have to maintain them, and that's our responsibility as stewards.
Thank you. And Tony Harmon.
Well, I must say I have to agree with Elizabeth and Mark, and I will add that as a board member, any of the board members, current, past, future, should always consider what are the legal aspects. So we need to make sure that when we look at our amenities, that we and make any changes to them, that we're following civil code, Davis Sterling, and just in general, the law. So that's what I would focus on as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're on to Jim Dixon. Members want the pool opened earlier in the season. How would you approach that as a board member?
Well, just like everything in this community, everybody here should have a voice. And if that's a decision that we can make through taking a vote and seeing how many people want to take on the additional expense of opening the pool earlier, because I know there's a heating component to it, especially if we do open it a little bit earlier. There's going to be some cooler nights, some cooler days. This is our pool, and we should make that decision as a board, and we should make that based upon input from the community.
All right, thank you. Tom Seglia?
Yes, that sounds amazing if the pool is open early. I actually like to swim. It does get a little cold out here, so I understand the whole propane thing. It is our voice. We, the people, basically should make the decisions. It shouldn't be based on what the board thinks. It should be what we decide on, the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Mobley?
It's good to see that the pool cover is off today. First time so far this year. We've had 83-degree weather already. The nights are still cold, but often we need to look at the weather conditions, and we need to be able to have a responsive GM. And I think Jim has addressed a lot of these issues. The maintenance of the pool through the off-season had been a critical factor, and those should be taken care of before pool season comes. And I think that has been changing, and I appreciate that, Jim.
Thank you. Mark Blethyn?
Well, as a former water polo coach, the water is never too cold to swim. I can just tell you that right now. That was an excuse I never allowed. No, I think that there's enough demand to use one of our facilities. I think that if anything the board should do would be direct the general manager to collect the data to find out whether it makes sense to actually open something up and make it available to people. And if it's possible, then let's do it.
All right, thank you. Tony Harmon?
So again, I agree with James and Mark. I would also add perhaps that we should let the members know what additional costs that may be.
Okay, thank you. Debbie Bailey?
So I've had a couple pools in my life, and I kept mine open year-round, but I think mine was probably a little smaller than the one we have here. I think because the pool issue is such a big concern with our members that we should probably get a pool committee together. Committees can be useful, I assure you. But to find out, like, how much does it cost to keep it year-round? Should we get solar? What are some things that we can do differently? What are the expenses it would take, and what can we do to open it up early? And just really take a deep dive into it.
All right, thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert?
Gosh, as a former water polo player, I know the pool, the coldness of the pool does not matter. The thing is that when you say I want to open the pool early, you're really challenging 4 costs. One of them is we have to staff it, we have to insure it, we have to pay for the additional gas to heat it, and we have to do winter repairs. And so it's not a simple question of saying, should we just open the pool? Now, especially with a zero-based budget like we're going to have next year, there may not have been even funds allocated to handle a month early opening, and I don't know what the funds look like now, where they would come from. But I think there's a Form A2 that has to be submitted to the board, and that determines, based on defensive information, if the board can vote to open the pool early.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
I believe the board has directed James to look into the cost effectiveness of opening early, and he's in the process of doing that. But attendance always tends to be a big issue. I can recall times during the summer when there was nobody out in the pool, and it was nice. And I can imagine the water polo team being out there in the winter. Now, there is a solar stub out there. We did equip the pool with the capability of having solar, so that should be a consideration that can be looked at in the future.
Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm still on.
Sorry, James Below Latch.
No changes until there's solar heating.
All right. Here we go. Okay, who is next? Okay, we're on to Tom. Tom Seglia, what inspired you to run, and what do you see as your biggest challenge facing our community?
What inspired me? Just seeing the changes on this new board, it blew me away. And I've only been here for 4 years. Seeing the accountability and the transparency was amazing to me. And knowing that and seeing that, I want to be a part of it because that's what I'm about.
Thank you. Paul Mobley.
This was a hard decision. I've been attending various different committees, and recently I joined the swimming club to contribute, and I've contributed in many different ways. Yet I'm very concerned about the direction and losing that direction that this new board has provided. Recently, we've had some really good discussions in these board meetings and good outcomes, and I don't want to lose that to where we were before. We need to stay affordable. Bottom line, we can't always say, let's get the best and newest and greatest. We're not Lake Arrowhead. We're not Big Bear. This is Pine Mountain Club, and it needs to stay affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Blethyn.
Yeah, I guess what inspired me more than anything else is just, essentially a lifelong love of this place that I've been here for so long. And I think the time to get involved is when you can do it, you have the time, and while things are good, that you can make sure that we maintain the quality of what we have. Because if you wait till things go bad, it's so much harder to keep things the way you want them, rather than get involved when things are good and maintain that sort of quality. And that's what I want to do, is maintain the quality of this place forever so that my kids will have a place to inherit.
Thank you. Tony Harmon.
So I think because there's some major changes coming up that are going to affect all of us and this whole community, and not just the tax status, but other things as well, I felt that I wanted to be part of that.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey.
As you know, since I was the last one to turn in my candidate statement, as I was hearing things coming through the pipeline and concerns members had, I decided and thought, okay, you know what? I'm retiring in June. I definitely don't want to go back to where we were, and I'd like us to continue on the positive path forward in keeping Pine Mountain affordable. So here I am. I want to be a voice for our members.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth Gilbert.
Can you ask the question again?
Sure. What inspired you to run, and what do you see as your biggest challenge facing our community? As our biggest challenge facing our community?
Yeah, that's a big question. What inspired me to run was that I wanted to continue to be a steward for this community. And like many people have referenced here, I do think the board has moved us in a positive direction, and I'd like to be part of being that positive direction. I think I can contribute to that. So a lot of the things that we were fighting over even a short amount of time ago, we seem to have moved past. In terms of what I think is most important for the community, for me, I feel like the website has been a real problem because we get a lot of loss of information. We can't find specific details about information that we need to know, and it spreads to kind of misinformation. I know that they're about to launch a new website and hopefully close off all the other websites. And I think we'll have that. It'll help all of us kind of be on an even keel. We'll all be able to go to the same place for information.
Thank you. Bill Lewis.
I care about this place. And I'm not the same person that I was 8 years ago. And as I look forward to the challenges for me personally, is being on a board that I'm not familiar with. But I see it as a challenge. And I see it as a challenge to take care of this place and make it a place that we all care about, we can all make affordable, and we can maintain the lifestyle that we've all come to expect here.
Thank you. James Bullow-Latch.
Well, I think we need to represent the part-time people a little more because they pay the same fees and don't use the same facilities. And so I'll represent the other side.
Okay, thank you. Jim Dixon.
I think the biggest challenge we have as a community and as a board is balancing maintaining what we have with fiscal solvency and a prudent outlook as far as our investments in our future. One of the things I didn't mention earlier in my introduction is the fact that I have a degree in finance from Texas A&M, and I was an investment banker before my foray into law enforcement. That's one of the reasons I work the White Collar Crime Task Force. I think I'm in a unique position to help guide us forward in that realm and finding balance between expenditures and amenities, and there's a smart way to do it. As far as why I decided to come forward, I'm finally at a point in my career where I'm not traveling. I can actually participate and give my wholehearted commitment to this community and to this board, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. The community and the board have chosen. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Mobley. The board presented 3 options for the clubhouse remodel. Which plan did you vote for and why? This is too personal. We're feeling it's what are we feeling? Are we skipping? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I would choose not to answer that.
You know, that's fair. Next question.
Yeah.
Right.
Gladly accept your vote.
No, we're just on. Yeah. Yeah. So still Paul. What is zero-based budgeting?
Zero-based budgeting. When I worked at Intel, I was part of the budgeting process. I had a staff of over 25 direct reports, and I worked with several group leaders when we formulated our annual budget. Equipment improvement, phasing out of equipment, etc. There was a bottom line. This is what you're going to get for the year. This is how much we're going to get, and that's it. You know, so you zero-based budget is facing the reality of operation costs, keeping that thing running, and forecast as best you can how the business changes. Today, Intel hit a record high. That experience for me was probably one of the most profound experiences, how fast semiconductors change. No one in this room can appreciate that speed of change. This is what I bring to the table. So thank you.
Thank you. Mark Blethyn.
One of the roles I had in my career in education, I was actually the president of a faculty association for our district. It was a 2,000 plus members organization with a multi-million-dollar annual budget. And every year we had to come up with a zero-based budget. We predicted what our income would be, or knew essentially what it would be, and we knew what our expenses would be, and the two things have to balance. You can't be in deficit. We're not the federal government, so we're not allowed to spend money we don't have. So the fact is that what we take in, that's our assessments, and what we may generate in fees from other sources, that has to be what we're budgeting in all of our line items that we have to spend throughout the year on all the facilities and actually the operation of our association.
Thank you so much. Tony Harmon.
Okay, so to simplify that would be, I would go to the manager of the department, and I would say, you got $0 budgeted for you this year. Prove to me why you need the money and what you need it for.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey.
Yeah, I would say the zero-based budgeting is basically getting rid of the fluff. What does it take to run this department? The accounting department, the bistro, the lounge. I know that they've been meeting with the department managers to discuss with them what their needs are, what their expenses are, but to justify it so that we're only spending what we need.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth Gilbert.
The way I understand zero-based budgeting for Pine Mountain Club is we took our budget and we zeroed every category on it. We didn't take an assumption of the past year plus some percentage of inflation. And then our staff had to go back and justify every single expense they were going to have for their department. And of course, I think the max limit is our cost of our fees plus our assessments plus anything else I guess we get. And once they've done that, then they submit that budget to the board approves it, and then we manage that budget month to month, and we have to stay within the budget categories or have a good reason to get out of them. That's it.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
As explained to me, the zero-based budget starts from scratch and has to justify every expense and basically starts from zero each time, whereas our traditional budgets that we've used in the past uses the previous years as a baseline.
All right, thank you. Jim Bulla-Latch?
No comment.
All right, thank you. And Jim Dixon?
Well, as a finance guy, this kind of feels like I'm cheating, but I'll just say this. It's basically what we all do at home when we're balancing our own budget. You have to assume you're taking in a certain amount. Don't account for it being more. You're not going to count on that raise or that Christmas bonus. You're not going to hope for appreciation on your 401k or your 457. You're going to work with what you have to work with. Now, in reference to Pine Mountain, I think that definition has been expanded to the point where we're actually doing some fiscal constraints, making sure people aren't spending on things that they shouldn't, and really looking at our inventory and our operating costs and making sure that they're all valid expenses. And I think that's a great way to do things.
All right, thank you. Oh my gosh, and Tom Seglia.
Yes. Okay. So zero-based budgeted means to me that you start from zero, just like everybody's kind of saying. You start from zero and you check out your expenses. And it's just, instead of just adding to last year's budget, especially for Pine Mountain Club, that means every department has to explain what they need and why, which helps control the costs. Cut the waste and make sure money is spent on what actually benefits the community.
Thank you. Okay, we are on Mark Blethyn. Do you have the time required to attend board meetings, committee meetings, executive meetings, special board meetings, and member hearings, etc.?
That's a tough one. Being retired and every day being Saturday for me, I do believe that the time is in my budget to do that, and I'd be happy to do it. It's, again, to me, it's about service, giving back to the community, and why I'm able to do this now. I wouldn't have been able to do this a year ago. There's just no chance, not with the career I had and my time obligations as a head coach for a college track team. But yeah, I think that's easy. And I would imagine, I don't want to speak from it, I imagine no one would be up here taking on this possible responsibility without knowing that they have a time commitment to be able to do this.
Whoops. Just kidding. Tony Harmon.
Yes, well, having served on the board before, I also realize that there's more time involved than just the meetings and just what's required of you. There's a lot more time that's put in by board members that the general membership doesn't really see. But yes, I'm absolutely fully ready for it.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey.
Yes, I'm ready to take this task on, but what I'm not sure of is, will this create more time that I have to spend doing association work or less time? I feel like every day I wake up and all I'm doing is thinking about the association. What can I do better? What can we do differently? It's quite a task, and I'm used to it, so I don't think anything's going to change for me.
All right, thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah, I see no conflict with trying to attend all the meetings, and I've certainly experienced with the governing documents. There's a lot of burden in terms of research and that type of thing that go well beyond the meetings, but I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, great. Bill Lewis.
Yes, and having said that, I'm very familiar with the time that it takes to be on the board, beyond just being a regular director. And more importantly, if you put in extra effort, sometimes there's extra return for the members and the other board members as well.
Okay, thank you. And James Bullock-Latch.
Yes.
Okay, and Jim Dixon.
So I haven't had a 9-to-5 job since I was 17. I started out in the Marine Corps, and then transitioned to become an officer in the Marine Corps. 24/7 job in law enforcement. It's a 24/7 job, particularly as a detective. Supervising 26 investigators. Some people may think that I don't have time to squeeze this in. I have plenty of time now that I'm not traveling. As the commanding officer, I have the ability to manipulate my schedule, move my days off. I have 4 sergeants that I've just recently fully staffed my unit. Because of that and the ability to be blessed to move my schedule around, I feel like I'm finally in a position where I can commit fully to this. And that's the only reason that I have not done this so far and at 13 years in. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. And Tom Seglia?
Yes, I want to start by saying I'm semi-retired. I look forward to the time it's going to take care of the board and do whatever it takes to make this happen for the members. I know the responsibility, and it's definitely serious. And I'm not going to take anything lightly. I'm just going to make sure that we're all on top of it and everything runs smoothly.
Okay, thank you. And Paul Mobley?
I would add to what everyone else has said is that the key is being efficient with your time, working with people, understanding people, and how to get things done, bottom line. It's not about how much time you put into things. It's how the quality of that time is in getting things done. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Big one. Okay, who are we? Tony Harmon. All right, Tony Harmon. Recently, a new Facebook page was started claiming they were about, quote, truth. They illegally used the PMC POA logo to lure in unsuspecting members. They used the PMC POA website and actual address to the clubhouse on their politically motivated, I'm assuming there's a word missing, page maybe? Have you in any way participated in this Facebook group?
I am aware of the group, and there's quite a few people actually involved in that group. As far as I know, there is no trademark registered to the PMC POA for the use of any of their stuff, and I think that if they want to use an emblem that shows that they're part of the PMC POA, I don't see any problem with it.
Okay, Debbie Bailey?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Recently, a new Facebook page was started claiming they were about, quote, truth. They illegally used the PMC POA logo to lure in unsuspecting members. They used the PMC POA website and actual address to the clubhouse on their politically motivated page. Have you in any way participated in this Facebook group?
I have not, and I've seen the page, and I did think it was odd because it's misleading and misrepresenting Pine Mountain Club, and it doesn't, if I recall, it doesn't say who the administrator is of that page. And as we said earlier, it sounds like it's very important that we make sure anything that's on the website or that's on the internet shouldn't have misinformation. And that person administering that page should probably be more responsible.
Thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert?
So I am involved with that page. I did not establish that page, and it's interesting the comments people make about illegal or misrepresentation. The page was really an effort to try and provide more information to members based on things that they wouldn't normally get to read, that other people might know more about. It's still completely forming up. We haven't put out any official guidelines, but we continue to see websites that provide a lot of misinformation, and I think the goal, at least for me having joined it, was to try and educate members and put a space together where people could talk about things in a respectful way.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
I am not involved, but I I appreciate the format and the information that has been posted so far based on the same things that Elizabeth just said.
All right, James Below-Latch.
Not involved.
All right, Jim Dixon.
I'm not involved. I've never even seen it. This is the first time even hearing about this particular website. I would say that I can't comment on the legality or illegality of that. I know you all are hoping for a criminal legal opinion here, because I don't know the copyright status of any of the items being used. I would say that if there is disinformation on there, it should be removed. There needs to be a consolidated effort by the board to get out information that is current and factual, and we wouldn't have to rely on pages like this. If we had open, transparent communications and there were no open questions, there wouldn't be an avenue for people to even disseminate this information.
All right, thank you. Tom Seglia.
I'm sorry. I don't waste my time on Facebook. That's got to be the biggest waste of time I've ever heard. And for people to actually waste their time on that and say silly things like that is just, I think it's above us. We got to be above this.
All right.
Please.
Thank you. Paul Mobley.
It sounds like Elizabeth has more awareness than I would on this Facebook page. I did set up a Facebook page called the Unofficial Pine Mountain Club Bicycling, so that people who were bicycling enthusiasts could learn about e-bikes, safety measures, and the fatalities associated with bicycling. So that's my contribution. It's not a highly visited site, okay? Just FYI.
No advertisements during the. I'm just kidding.
You know,
I'm
not taking any kickbacks or anything.
Just kidding, Paul. Thank you very much. Okay, Mark Blethyn.
I'm sorry, what's Facebook?
Who knows?
I'm really not that out of touch. I haven't seen the page. I don't really engage in Facebook on a regular basis. I do use the bear and wildlife videos of Pine Mountain Club Facebook page, just because I like to see videos of wild animals. I mean, we're up here, my God, let's see as many as we possibly can. I just say this, is that, we're all neighbors and part of this community. I think we need to interact and communicate with each other with integrity whenever possible, and, just be truthful with ourselves and with each other.
Thank you. Here we go. Okay, we're on to Debbie Bailey. Do you have a preconceived agenda? If so, what is it?
I do not. But I do like what we've been doing over the last year, and I'd like to keep that going. I'd like to focus a lot more on transparency as well, and accountability. Accountability, meaning I think it would be important for our new directors coming in to get additional training on everything that is required to be a part of this board.
Thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yeah, I would agree with Debbie's thoughts, and I also wonder what the idea of preconceived means, because does that mean you have evil intentions?
I don't know.
I mean, I have some definite opinions of what I want to work on, and I think that you could call that preconceived, but I don't think it's evil.
All right. Thank you. Bill Lewis.
No, and the things that I think that we should be working on, again, I mentioned earlier, fire mitigation, emergency preparedness, maintaining our assessments, and taking care of the clubhouse.
Thank you. James Below-Latch.
No.
Okie dokie. Jim Dixon.
I'm not here to take over the world. I just want to be a director and help the community. No grand plans. I'd just like to see some consistency, some transparency, and some integrity. And if I can be a part of that, or someone else up here can be a part of that, I think that's only going to make this a better place to live.
Great. Thank you. Tom Seglia.
Yes, I don't have any agenda. I just want to focus on the country club, the people that have a voice, and to just keep things moving in a positive way.
Great. Thank you. Paul Mobley.
I would say I come in with a little bit of bias given that some things that hadn't been addressed. For example, EP stands for emergency preparedness. And I would like to move that towards emergency prevention as opposed to preparedness. And that concept really needs to filter through the committees, and prevention, as opposed to being prepared for an emergency, would save lives. So thank you.
Thank you. Mark Blethyn?
No, I absolutely have no agenda. I think my education and background in science leads me to take on problems as you see them, collect the data, figure out what needs to be done, and then make decisions based on facts. That doesn't mean that I don't have some hopes for this place. I do. I'd like to see this place remain like it always has been, a great mountain community that has a lot of resources and a lot of opportunities for its members. And I'd like to keep them as they are, because that's why people moved here when they did, is for the things that are here. And if any of those disappear, then we're actually taking that away from our members, and that would be unfair.
Okay, thank you. And Tony Harmon?
So no preconceived agenda. I'll say again, I would like to keep our assessments low, our property values high, and I would like to continue working on fire mitigation and look into aging in place again as well.
Thank you. Okay, we're back to Elizabeth Gilbert. What will you do to ensure members are heard?
I like to listen to people and digest what they have to say and try and coalesce that into kind of an opinion that I can share. And so for me, members talking to me and being able to understand what their needs are would be one way I would do it. Another way is simply through this Facebook page, even though that sounds kind of odd, but I think that you need a place where people can talk respectfully and with some rules. And we don't see much of that. So I feel like for people to be heard, we have to have some way to respect their opinions, give them times to finish what they're going to say. I think the board this year has done a really good job of letting people speak during the public time for members. And I think that's a really good way to be heard as well, because that's the one we all have.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
I think that we're making pretty good progress. Sounds like our communications committee is moving forward. It's difficult to listen to everyone. And not everyone really has valued input sometimes. And I don't say that negatively, but there's some people who talk who just want to hear themselves talk. The board has a very difficult decision sometimes in these board meetings and in other avenues to reach out and listen to everyone. It's difficult. And in the same thing, again, I mentioned it earlier, I really appreciate the monthly recap of the board meetings because, again, if people are inclined to read and pay attention to what's going on, they'll learn a lot. And I think that's the challenge.
Thank you. James Bullock-Latch?
I have no great idea. One of the big problems is a lot of people don't participate and are dissatisfied with the outcome. So we really need to communicate more with the people who do not show up.
Okay, thank you. Jim Dixon?
I think one of the reasons that, as James said, that people aren't happy with outcomes is because they give their opinion, we hear their voices, but they don't really get a final say. And as a community and a POA and a board that has the ability to take votes on things, the truest way to find out what someone's opinion is to simply have them vote for it. And for major expenditures, and I'm flexible on this number, but I would say that anything over $50,000 should be part of a general vote. You should get a say on how we spend your money, especially on large items.
Thank you. Tom Seglia?
Yes, I'll make sure that members are heard by being accessible. You can have my number. You can have my email. I'm not hiding anything, guys. I'm here to listen and encourage the input meetings. I'm going to encourage them in the meetings. They should be communicating at the meetings, also supporting and keeping the transparency open so that people know their concerns and are being considered and addressed instead of ignored and getting a deaf ear.
Okay, thank you. Paul Mobley.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. What will you do to ensure members are heard?
I'm going to point out Russ Rogers had talked about this being a dark sky place. We do not get to decide whether it's going to be dark, what day or whatever. We should accommodate this lighting issue for safety, but there are nights on new moons that we could have a dark sky event to enjoy. My point is, we shouldn't drive things based upon complaints, but rather drive things based upon opportunities to bring people together. And that's a different way of looking at things, and that's what I offer.
Thank you. Mark Blethen.
Yeah, I think communication is obviously the key to engaging of the rest of the membership, but I don't think it's necessarily just one-way communication. It can't be just the board and management telling everyone what's going on. We have to provide the opportunity, and not just at board meetings where everything's kind of agendized and runs a certain path. We need to have opportunities where we have town halls or open forums where people and members can come forward and express some ideas and maybe spur the thinking of the board to actually take on some new ideas and some new projects that they want to see happen. But we won't know unless we ask them. We won't know unless we're available to them. And I think we need to make ourselves available as board members to our membership at all times.
Thank you. Tony Harmon.
I'd like to see a greater participation of our membership. Currently, maybe a third of our membership is voting on things. So maybe some outreach to those that aren't voting to get them more engaged so we can get a better understanding of where people do stand on the issues.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey.
Yeah, I would like to be the voice for members, but I believe that we need to do some other activities or ways to bring our members here or different events, town halls, meet and greets. What can we do to make sure our members have a chance to tell us what they're thinking? I know a member open forum, maybe there's a way that we can restructure that. I feel like we have all these people lined up and people get frustrated that they're not able to speak. And as we know, some people go to the podium first, which we appreciate. But how can we change that? Is there a way that we can make it more efficient so that members are heard? So looking into different ways to get the members here, but to make them feel important so that we can be a voice for them. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, this question is actually for James Dixon. How are you going to make sure there is no fraud, abuse, and waste of funds? No pressure.
Well, as a director, I'll have access to pretty much all the financial information in perpetuity. If there are anomalies, I will find them. And if there's someone specifically accountable for that, they'll be held accountable. I'm uniquely skilled at navigating bureaucracy and red tape. I've been doing it in the military and in law enforcement with 3 different agencies at the municipal and federal level for a quarter of a century. I know I don't look that old, but if it's there and it's actionable, I will find it.
Amazing. Who else would like to answer this question? Fair. Onward. Okay. Bill Lewis. How is keeping PMC affordable detrimental to our property values? It's kind of a weird question, but that's what it says. Yeah. How is keeping PMC affordable detrimental to our property values?
Let me see. I think it kind of infers that maybe if keeping it affordable means continue to lowering assessments, I think it could be detrimental overall to the association in maintaining our facilities and the things that we are budgeting to address over the year. Keeping it, I believe, it's always been affordable. We've even lowered the assessment this year. But detrimental to property values, I think if you went any lower and we had to cut out some of the facilities and some of the amenities, that we would suffer in our property values.
All right, and we're going around. James Belolach. Yeah, lean in, thank you.
I think you can actually reduce some of the facilities and increase the value, but it requires, I would say, several years of thinking it through and really planning for the next 30 years. I've been here 33 years. A lot of things are not the same. The world's not the same, and people don't do the same things. Not many people ride horses anymore. In the rest of the state, there's a surplus of golf courses. So there's a lot of things that can be cut if you think about them.
Thank you. Jim Dixon.
If we're truly using zero-based budgeting, all of our expenditures as far as maintenance of our current facilities is going to be incorporated in the reserve fund. The daily operating expenses are going to be incorporated in the general assessment. If we have something that needs to be replaced, we can issue a special assessment or an emergency assessment to address that one individual item. So I don't see how keeping PMC affordable would really degrade any of the overarching goals that we have to sustain this community.
Thank you. Tom Seglia.
Yeah, can I hear the question again? You broke up.
Sure. How is keeping PMC affordable detrimental to our property values?
Well, keeping Pine Mountain Club affordable doesn't have to hurt property values. In fact, it can support them when costs are managed responsibly, amenities are maintained, and the community stays safe and well run. That stability makes the area more attractive to buyers. The goal is to balance, protect property values, and that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Paul Mobley.
Let's be clear, property values fluctuate based upon interest rates, demand for the property, and the economy. We are seeing war, interest rates will be flat, and yet there's some optimism down the long road. We do need to maintain the quality of this current environment, but overspending puts an extremely high burden, which can force people on the lower end of the income out of this community, thereby putting a supply issue out there. So supply and demand is the number one thing that drives property values.
All right, thank you. Mark Blethyn.
Yeah, I don't see how affordability could harm our property values in any way. I think that if we were to, if our assessments were to rise astronomically, it would present a barrier to people moving into the community, as well as a reason for people who are in the community to no longer be able to afford to stay in this community. So I think if anything, if that happens, and I was just looking on Zillow today, by the way, just I kind of went look at around the community, and I was surprised at how many homes I saw in Pine Mountain Club that were up for sale. And when you have supply that's that high, it's an indication that people are needing to get out of the community in some way. So I think we have an obligation to keep it affordable, and also an obligation to do better with the resources that this community provides to our association to spend on our facilities.
Thank you. Tony Harmon.
Well,
Recording stopped.
I'm a firm believer in running a tight ship, but I also don't think we should sink the ship. So what I mean by that is, by keeping it affordable, if you diminish an amenity to the point where it's no longer usable, then it closes or is no longer an amenity, then that definitely would hurt our property values because, as all of us know, we bought here because of the town that we have, the amenities that we have. So in that case, if affordability becomes overdone, then it can definitely hurt property values.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey?
Keeping PMC affordable is absolutely not detrimental. So I'm not sure where that came from. In fact, keeping PMC affordable and letting the members vote is so that we don't go back to where we were and waste another $700,000 without any accountability. We don't need to do that. So that is why we're keeping PMC affordable. We need to watch what we're spending. We need to understand the laws of how we can spend, right? Not just spend, not just take money out of, let's say, operating funds and buy a post office. That's not keeping PMC affordable. $700,000 to build what? What did we get? I went to the Kern County Planning and Building Department. They showed me a piece of paper. They asked me, where did that $700,000 go? I said, I don't know, you're holding it in your hand. So keep PMC affordable is not detrimental.
Thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert?
I don't see any way how making a community affordable and having a reputation of affordability is an issue. I think some of these things we keep bringing up, the $700,000, the pool, the post office, if you look back at it, you have to ask yourself, how did we actually pay for this stuff and how did it impact us? Because I don't see an actual impact to individual members. I keep hearing there's an impact, but somehow we just haven't had to pay for it. And I just keep wondering to myself, why is that? And now we've lowered our assessments and we still have this history of this spending, but we still don't seem to have felt the pain from it. So I keep wondering to myself, you know, an affordable is one thing, but going back and rehashing these historical issues over and over again when we can't change the past, we just have to learn to look to the future and not do that again.
Thank you. All right, this question for everybody, and we're on to James Below-Latch. Realistically, do you have the time and energy to devote to the board? We already asked that.
Question.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Next one. Oh, wish me luck.
Got the question.
Got an easier question?
I wasn't going to go there.
It's a handwriting.
Yeah, well,
How true. Sometimes I need to figure it out. I haven't seen my mom. Do it all the time. Do it all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, me too.
I can't read.
Probably close to the same.
So do we want to move on to closing statements?
I'm hanging in there.
We're at 20 minutes, so no more questions. One more question? Okay. Sorry, that one was hard to read.
Yeah, I know. 20 years ago, I gave up all the goodies.
Okay. What do you think about us losing our 501c7 status? And this is our last question for tonight.
don't know.
All right, Jim Dixon.
I was under the impression we were losing 501c3 status, which we didn't qualify for in the first place because we maintain our own roads. That would put us in a 501c4 or potentially a 528, but I don't know enough details to tell you which of those two we more appropriately belong in. There's a higher tax obligation under 528. But this is something that I have some expertise in, and once I have the full scope of breadth of information on it, may be able to contribute toward making a proper decision if it's even left to the board.
Okay, thank you. And Tom Seglia?
This is new to me. I had no idea.
Okay, thank you. Paul Mobley?
I think we just hit that issue just recently at the most recent board meeting, and I would just defer to Randall. At this point, we've got an expert in our community that's addressing that to find out which one is more beneficial. We do not have the luxury of staying with the previous status. The IRS audit says that we need to move off of that. That's an expert opinion. I would go with that. Let's move forward and understand the implications of the 538 versus the 501c4, whatever it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Blethyn?
Yeah, I've been reading the information that's coming out from the board on this, and the reality to me is this, is the IRS is going to do what the IRS is going to do, and we're not going to really have any choice about what we get categorized at. The most important part is we going to need to adapt to whatever they say we are, and I think that's going to be determined by the CPAs and attorneys that we have hired to actually look into this and give us the best direction on how to go. I mean, we can't tell the IRS no, we're just not going to do it.
Thank you. Tony Harmon?
Yes, I'm aware that currently we have an attorney that's looking into this for the association. I would like to see a lot of transparency on what he thinks. And I think ultimately, if we have to change our status, I think it should go to a member vote between the two choices we have.
Okay. Debbie Bailey?
Yeah, so our 501c7 has been revoked. So it's up to us, meaning we're all part of Pine Mountain Club Property Owners Association. It belongs to us. So we need to decide, what are we going to apply for? And that's why we hired an expert. I'm not a tax expert, but Gary Porter, who we hired, is. So we are waiting for his results to see, what does he think? Do we actually qualify for a 501c4? Or do we need to be a 528? There's only two options. The 501c4 will give us better tax benefits on our investment income, but we need to, again, consider, will the IRS agree to that, not only this year, but 10 years from now, so we don't end up where we are today.
Thank you. Elizabeth Gilbert?
So we have hired a consultant, Gary Porter, and as Randall pointed out, and I looked this up, this guy is one of the top consultants in the business in terms of tax law and for associations. And he's also been associated or knows our organization. He's worked for us before in some manner. And so I think waiting for him to make his opinion and not coming up with a lot of thought beforehand, because most of us don't really know, I think that's the right process. I think the board's going about it the right way. I don't know if it's a member vote or not, because if the consultant says we go one way and we all kind of see that there's no other way to go, certainly if he says the only thing you can do is this, then it doesn't really require a member vote. But I do think transparency in the process, making everybody feel that the decision was well thought out, I think that's critical.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
In 1977, the IRS determined us to be a 501c7. Since then, we've filed all of our taxes as a 501c7. This recent action by the IRS revoking our status had nothing to do with Bill Lewis as chairman in 2023. It was based on our roads and our architecture, not whoever was chairman at the time. And I'm hopeful and looking forward to the information that will be provided by Gary Porter, and I'm confident we will be able to proceed accordingly.
Thank you. All right, and now are we going to take a break? Move right in. All right, we're moving into closing statements. And away we go. 1 minute each. And we'll start with Elizabeth Gilbert. Just, well, nuh-uh. You're trying to trick me. And you probably could.
Yeah, well,
Okay, sorry, Elizabeth Gilbert. Okay.
here we go. So let me close by thanking all the members here in this room, those joining us on Zoom, and those who may watch this later, for taking the time to get to know your candidates. This is an important decision, and you know more about us, that you're better equipped to make a decision. I also want to thank all the candidates who stepped forward. It takes real courage and commitment to our community to put yourself in this position, and Pine Mountain Club is better for it. Before I close, since I have an audience, I want to make one brief request. If you have an interest in helping strengthen and review our government documents, please communicate them directly to the PMC office. We need 4 to 5 volunteers. I would be honored to bring my experience, my values, and my commitment to this community, to working toward a strong board and engage members to help Pine Mountain Club. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Lewis?
As directors and as members, I'd really like to see us work better as a team to continue making PMC what it is today. I think we should continue our transparency, better communication, our community outreach, and fiscal responsibility. As I mentioned, the other 4 points that I thought were important: fire mitigation, emergency preparedness, maintain assessments, and the clubhouse renovation within our current fiscal restraints is stuff that we need to accomplish, and I'm willing to do so. I'm willing to spend the time doing so, and I appreciate all your support and for everyone being here today.
Thank you. James Bololach?
Hopefully we'll have less pain, less fighting, and more peace.
Thank you. Jim Dixon?
One of the reasons I find myself sitting here tonight, aside from the fact that this was the first opportunity I've had given my professional responsibilities, is that one of the top things we've talked about tonight, safety-wise, as far as people's concerns, is fire mitigation and the threat zone that we live in. I had the unique displeasure of being placed as the person running the command post for the Palisades fire. Because of that, I think there's steps we need to take here. Every day I would show up there and think, this could be my community. In that capacity, I think that what we need to find is a way for us all to communicate and coordinate and build our sense of community through cooperation and involvement between the board and the community, because when it goes sideways, I don't care if we argued at a board meeting. You're my neighbor, and we need to prepare to do this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Seglia?
Yeah, I care deeply about Pine Mountain Club, and I want to help keep it strong and safe and moving in the right direction. My focus is simple: clear and fair policies, responsible financial management, and protecting what we have. That means using reserve funds the right way, maintaining our amenities, and planning ahead so we don't fall behind. I support transparency so members know what's going on and they feel heard. And I believe in making decisions that have been the whole community, safety and priorities, including the fire mitigation, and making sure we're prepared. Amen.
Thank you so much. Paul Mobley?
My skill set is associated with an integration engineer. It's about getting experts together and working out compromise. We have a limited budget. One of the things I will ask today is all these folks who put the time into being a director, let us agree to lower the speed limit on Askin Drive to 15 miles an hour. Let's reduce the risk of those folks, families who park along that roadway. We can do this very quickly. I've been asking for this for 2 years. So that's one of the things I would like to see, is resolving problems that keep on being there. So thank you.
Thank you. Mark Blethen?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone coming in tonight and taking the time to get to know all of us so that you can make a good decision about who's going to be helping out this association for the next couple of years. I think that just the turnout here is testament to how much people care about Pine Mountain Club and how much they want to see it survive and thrive. And I think we all probably, every one of us up here probably has the same feelings. We all want to see it thrive. We may have different opinions about how we want to get it there. But that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. I think that that's what this is really about. And, you know, it would be a privilege to be able to serve this community now that I have the time and the energy to do so. And if people want to know more about me and what I think I can bring, I'm available. Find me, come talk to me after this. I'm happy to talk forever. So thank you.
Thank you. Tony Harmon.
So if you vote for me, I promise I work hard to keep our assessments low, to keep our value properties high, and to keep the members informed. Also, to do things for the community that benefit the community as a whole, like aging in place, fire mitigation, all the things that really should be important to all of us. So that's my promise to you if I get your vote.
Thank you. Debbie Bailey.
Pine Mountain Club isn't just where we live. It's something we all share a responsibility for. And right now, we all have the opportunity to move forward in the positive direction that we have been. So I encourage you to get in touch with all of the candidates. Find out more before you cast your vote. We don't want history to repeat itself, and we want to continue on a positive path forward. Once the directors are elected, they are going to be making decisions for you, and they're going to be spending your money. So make sure you make the right choice. I want to be your voice. If you have questions, by all means, call me, email me. I would love to meet with you, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. First thing, all of the questions we didn't get to for tonight will still be in the Rolly thing for the next one, next Saturday. Next Saturday? Saturday the 20, May 2nd, just kidding. May 2nd from 10 to 12. And the one that I couldn't read was rewritten and is back in there, so I will be able to read it next time. And then I also realized that I read my exit statement at the intro, so I'm going to reread it. Here we go. I'd like to close this forum by thanking all of the candidates for their participation. I would also like to thank the election committee for their participation. To the voters, please remember to vote. Thank you, and have a lovely evening. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Madison.
Thank you all. Right.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Mark.